Okay, this show is probably one of the most amazing shows I have ever seen in my life. Like, oh my god. I can't even tell you how I've never been engaged, like fully engaged in a show in like a year or something like that. It's been a long time since I've been fully engaged in a show. Hey everybody, my name's Kudokon, and welcome to my very first anime review. Yes, I'm finally doing anime review. Well, I guess you can count the SAO one a little back then, but nobody ever watched that. So, I guess this is going to be my very first initial review. But before we begin, I have a special announcement to say. To make, not to say, to make. Well, to say as well. My channel has hit 30 subscribers. As of 6:55 a.m. this morning, we have hit 30 subscribers. Woo! Well, 31 now, but that's amazing. It's cool how I finally made that goal. Like, I've been uploading frequently for about a month, and I've hit 31. That's not bad. That's not bad. I think that's a great start. Definitely a great start. Now, can we get to 50, then 100, please? Anyways, announcement aside, and thank you guys so much for the support, and thank you guys so much for everything that you've help me through. I help a few friends I have on Twitter as well. You be sure to go follow them. Link in the description down below, because they've been sponsoring my YouTube channel using their Twitter pages, and I am so grateful. I'm just so grateful for them and yes, I hope you do the same. I hope you show them your thanks by giving them a follow. Link in the description to their Twitter page. And let's hope I don't stutter throughout this review. Okay, guys, let's begin. So, upon first looking at Beastars, you're probably thinking, "Oh no, this is gonna be that. This is gonna be that. It's gonna be a repeat of, let's say, I don't know, Cats or something like that." But let me assure you, it is not at all. Okay, this. I initially thought that at first as well. Whenever I first heard it was being announced. But then, I watched a few videos of people mentioning, and people have mentioned this series, saying it was amazing. I looked at Twitter, a bunch of people said it was amazing. I've been checking Mal frequently, even though most of their scores are completely inaccurate, complete crap. The score, it was really good, and even one of the biggest Anitubers out there, the Anime Man, he said himself that this is amazing, and that the writer's a genius. So I thought, okay, a lot of people saying this is great. Maybe I should watch it. Although it took me, I don't know, a few months to be up before I ended up watching it. So I gave it a watch. I checked out the first episode, and I immediately fell in love with the show. It got me so engaged, and looking at from where it takes place and looking at the characters, I immediately liked it already, because it takes place most with these high school students who are all animals, obviously. Beastars is it's basically you can basically think of Beastars as an adult version of Zootopia. Well, not that kind of adult version. No, stay away from that, okay? I got scarred for life. It's more of like a, more mature Zootopia. Not that kind of mature, but a mature thing as to, violence and language. Something kind of like that. And looking at it, I loved the characters. They were all great. And the setting where it took place, you have these high school students in a drama club. I already like that already, because it's not called a drama club, but I've been in drama related classes myself, and I like how it takes place in that, and I think it's amazing. The characters, obviously Legoshi is my absolute favorite character, because his character, I can relate so much. Whenever I was watching this, as I'm watching throughout the entire show, I'm paying attention to everything, and I'm watching it, and I'm thinking, this is such an awesome, this amazing series, a masterpiece. But in the back of my mind, I'm always saying to myself, how am I relating with a fucking wolf. How am I relating with a fucking wolf? And I just think it's hilarious. But at the same time, like, it's cool how, like, obviously the writer really is a genius if he can be able to have these characters and have you be able to relate with them. Like, that is, it's genius. And, like, it's amazing how he's able to do that. Like, make all these characters who are animals look human, feel more like humans than they are animals. And that takes a genius writer to be able to do that. And I can definitely appreciate the manga author for that. And man, like, this series was just flat amazing. And the studio behind this was Orange, the same ones that gave us Land of the Lustrous, which I have not seen, but the CGI looks fucking amazing and beautiful. And once again, this show also uses CGI, and once again, a lot of people were skeptical of it, have been saying that they were scared of it, but when I saw it, man, was it beautiful. Like, I can't even, like, I feel like CGI anime these days are becoming a lot more better. Because we have, well, most of them are getting released on Netflix, anyways. We have Ajin, we have Revisions, we have Beastars, we have Land of the Lustrous, and Dorohedoro, which was just recently released this winter. And all of those anime, fully CG, and based on what everyone said, they were amazing. I've not seen all of them, but I've seen 2 revisions of Beastars, and I thought they were amazing. But yeah, Beastars was just, man, I've been saying that a lot. Okay, so let's get on to, like, let's dive deeper into what makes the show good. So what makes the show really great is the characters. Seeing their struggles. Like Legoshi, he's faced with a depression, and he has no confidence in himself. And so, like, as I'm watching him, I'm seeing him, like, like, the psychological element in this is absolutely amazing. And that comes to a huge play in this anime. Legoshi, throughout the entire show, he's constantly having thoughts screaming at him and talking to him and stuff like that. It's amazing. It's cool to watch and see how he thinks, because that's what all shows should be like. We should be able to dive into a person's mind and be able to tell what they're thinking instead of just them shouting powers. But yeah, seeing Lego should be able to think the way he is. It reminds me of me back in middle school. Which is why I'm able to relate with him so much. He's always second guessing himself. He always thinks he has zero confidence. He's always thinking that he shouldn't do this. He's always like wanting to be like a bystander sort of. And once again, I can relate with that so much. Like especially in my middle school days, where that was me. Like, I didn't have confidence. I didn't feel like I could walk up to someone and just chat with them. Like that was me in middle school. And like, I'm just so happy that I'm able to relate with this character so much. And the thing is, he's also part of the drama club, and I was part of the drama, like, no, it's not called drama club, it's like a forensics or theater arts, something like that. But yeah, I was part of the drama, trauma classes as well. And like, it's just so endearing to be able to see that I can relate with this character so much. And I don't know if all of you can be able to relate with them, but I'm sure you can find the characters endearing, because I think Legoshi is a very likable character. He's a very likable character. Another character that I want to talk about a lot is Haru. The white dwarf rabbit. She is a very interesting character in my opinion. Like, seeing the way she is, like how she acts, like, she's faced with a lot of bullying from other girls. And the reason for that is because she's always, having sex with all these guys. And you can definitely see why all the girls would hate her, and, typical high school drama and all that good shit. And she's, like, bullied a lot by them, like, physically. And seeing how she thinks is also endearing as well. And I just don't really know how to really like talk about her much without going in all these different places because I'm just gonna keep it simple and I'm just gonna stick with one thing about her. She thinks that a lot of people. The reason that she does what she does, I guess you could say like prostitutes herself. I hope that's the correct term. She does that because she feels like she's useless, and all the other of her classmates always look down at her and think, "Oh, what a cute little rabbit," and they always help her. They always think things are like too tough for her to handle, and so when she gets her first love confession, and that's when she realized that she doesn't feel useless. She feels like she can be able to do something. And it's interesting to be able to see how she thinks of this because, like, I've never seen this ever in a show before. I've never seen this done in the show before. Like, I think in some shows they try to be able to handle what Haru thinks and be able to do it in their shows, but I think they fail. Because this was really, like, it was really endearing to be able to watch. Because, like, it definitely, it's definitely very, very tough character development to handle in a show, and I think they've done it right. I think they've done this pretty well. Now, let's talk a little bit more about one more character, and that is Louis. He is the deer, and he is like the popular kid. He's the one in the drama club that everyone thinks is a star. All the girls think he's the cutest. Everyone thinks he's so popular. He's like the greatest star. He's a great actor. They think that he's just this amazing person. And looking a little more closer at him, his character is also really interesting. Something about Louis that we learned is that in the past he was sold in the black market. Now, this is another interesting element of the show. Basically, what the black market is like how the show has these predators and these prey and stuff like that, kind of like Zootopia. In this show, they have a thing called a black market where the predators can be able to go and feast on herbivore animals. But the thing, they take the black market, they get herbivore meat from like hospitals and people who are dead and stuff like that. That's how they get them, and that's another very interesting to see. I think I feel like yeah. It reminds me a lot of Tokyo Ghoul and how they did that, because they mentioned that they did that as well with like human meat, people who died, yeah, you guys know what I'm saying if you've seen Tokyo Ghoul. Remember that scene when Kaneki and this other guy, I can't remember his name, it's been so long since I've seen the show, they go out on a cliffside in the middle of the road and they see a dead body down there. And basically, yeah, that kind of reminds me of that. Beastars, the way they did their black market, kind of reminds me of how Tokyo Ghoul did their thing where ghouls eat a legal way for ghouls to eat humans. That's how I think of it, and I think it's kind of interesting. It's kind of interesting thing to compare. So the black market is a place where when we have a scene where a group of carnivores, where Legoshi and some of his friends, they end up accidentally stumbling their way to it, and they find a goat who's sitting there, who's like an old man, and he shows his fingers, and he's missing some, and they have price tags on them to how much you gotta pay to be able to take a bite, and I think that scene was really tense. It really sent chills down my spine. It definitely, I felt like a tightening in my chest, and I was completely just waiting for what's Legoshi gonna do there. And another thing about Legoshi is that he keeps all this, throughout his depression, he keeps all this anger and frustration built up to the point where he lets it go, like in episode 4, which was a great episode. Not my favorite, but like one, it's up there. So yeah, that's definitely interesting to see because that's how humans are. That's the way how humans are. You have so much frustration and anger and hatred built up inside you that if you don't if you don't ever let it go, then you just it's just gonna keep building and building to the point where you're just gonna release it all at once, and it's gonna be way too much for you to handle. And that's how humans are, and it's really interesting, and I like that. Anyways, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, let's get back to Louis, frick. So yeah, about like I said about the black market, Louis was part of the black market when he was still alive, along with a few other herbivore kids. And while he's one day he's actually ends up getting saved by an adult deer who adopts him, and it's really interesting to see how he is. Like he starts off as this scared little kid who's like weak, and even like whenever the adult deer ends up having him face against these locked up carnivores, and he gives him a knife to be able to deal with them, Louis, instead of trying to fight, he ends up trying to kill himself. And whenever the adult deer pulls him back, he mentions everything about taking his own life than killing carnivores. Yeah, like you could definitely see like back then he was weak, or like I guess like weak-minded or something like that, weak-spirited. I don't really know what the correct term is, but yeah, seeing him like that versus seeing him now, he's always telling himself, "Gotta forget the past," and he's always trying to move on from the past. He's trying to prove that he's not weak. He's trying to prove that he's strong and he can handle things on his own, and he doesn't need help. That's interesting to watch as well. I guess you can sort of compare the way he thinks with the way Haru thinks, sort of. Except Louis has a more, I guess, confident mind, I guess, is what I could say. Yeah, seeing the way he reacts, like he tries to get Legoshi to, unleash his carnivore side of him, because he wants to prove that he's not Louis wants to prove that he isn't weak. He wants to prove that he's strong and that he can handle things. And yeah, he's also a really interesting character. And then seeing him in the last episode, like just to the point where I should probably talk a little more about what happens before I get to the last episode. So basically, what happens is Haru gets kidnapped by this group of lions. And Louis gets convinced by the mayor not to go and start a panic because the mayor doesn't want a bunch of word getting out about that group. And the mayor decides that if you comply, then your entire past will be forgotten about. Everything about that past is going to be erased. So Louis makes a deal, and he eventually walks Haru off. And the thing is that him and Haru, they were kind of the thing, I guess. I guess you could say that. They kind of liked each other. And Legoshi, he's faced with this battle between what's kicking in, his predator instincts or his love interest. What's kicking in? Which one is it that's kicking in? Because whenever him and Haru first met, he wanted to devour her. And it's definitely interesting to see how Legoshi, grows. He's always constantly trying to think, trying to battle his thoughts out, trying to keep the carnivore side of him away. And he's always trying to think, what does he want? To devour her or to love her? And eventually, he comes to the decision that he wants to love her. You can definitely see because he's kind of jealous whenever he sees Louis and Haru together. And by the way, about that whole carnivore side, you can basically say that's all his frustration and anger being built up that he released in the 4th episode, like I said. Alright, so going back to Haru getting kidnapped, she ends up getting kidnapped by these lions, and the lions say that their leader is going to eat her, basically. And they do all these things to make sure that she's, the proper, a proper meal for him, basically, making her take a bath and, trying to elevate her heart rate to, get blood pumping, I guess. Like, I don't remember everything that they say, and I'd rather not, because it was disturbing. um, he then goes and, um, meets with this. He eventually finds the hideout, and like he goes to the black market and tries to get information, and he event and he gets captured, and he realized once they tell him where the hideout is, before those guys who captured him end up killing him, because they wanted to check him for loot, like thugs do. Um, the This panda shows up and helps him out. Now, I probably should have mentioned this back then. Legoshi, when he went to the black market, he ended up running off, trying to keep his carnivorous instincts away. And when he left, he ended up fainting, and he ran into this panda guy. And the panda guy chained him up, and yeah, he tries to basically say that people who give into their carnivorous instincts end up turning into like just straight up freaks of nature, and they end up like killing themselves or getting killed or going through this like withdrawal, depression, stuff like that. It's kind of interesting to see. And he also Legoshi also mentioned when he mentions Haru to the panda. I don't remember the panda's name. I'm sorry. He's bad. He's a badass character though. The panda get talks to him about him. It's just his carnivorous instinct, and that he shouldn't pay attention to it. Now, here's a very, very interesting scene. The panda hands him rabbit porn as a way to say either if he's into this stuff, then he just has like a fetish for something, but if he's not, then it's not love. So once again, that was interesting to see, but it also makes sense as to why it's there, because trying to figure out if you're into that, then you like her. If you're not, then something's wrong with you. So yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way. God, this review is probably leaving you all extremely confused. I should have I didn't script this. I'm just talking about how good the show is. So yeah, whenever Legoshi finds the hideout where the lion group captured Haru, he eventually runs into this lion guard, and he tries to get him out of the way, but he's not able to. He's able to take his gun and shoot his ear, but that's all he's able to do before he ends up getting grounded and almost shot, but then the panda ends up showing up with his badass crossbow and just kills the guy. And then those two rush in, they go in and try to save Haru, and Legoshi's able to do that. Of course, he has to reveal his carnivorous instincts by mauling the lion down, mauling the leader down, and Haru accepts him. And basically, Legoshi says that she'll be the one that takes care of that, controls the beast within him. And it was definitely a nice character moment to see. They leave the hideout, and they weren't able to catch the train, so they go to a hotel. I'm pretty sure you know what kind of hotel if you've seen enough anime to know where these situations going. I mean, it is shonen after all. So yeah, they go to that kind of hotel, and they're going through like thinking about what should they do. Eventually, they want to have sex, but animal instincts they kick in, and Haru doesn't. Like her body ends up moving on her own, and she basically is saying that she doesn't want to. And they decide, you know what, we'll hold off and wait until the right time, is basically what they're saying. Which is kind of, how humans think, I guess. Between, like, is this a mistake or should we go through this? But they say, you know what, we'll wait until the right time's ready. Well, yeah, I guess it is kind of how humans think. So they leave, they go back to the school, and the festival begins. And then we have actually another person who's in love with Haru, and her name is June. I hope I got that right. She is another gray wolf, like Legoshi, and June wants wants to be with Legoshi as well because her way of thinking is like, carnivores can, be like a light, the shedding light that brings everybody together. Like, not all carnivores are bad. And she thinks that carnivores can be nice, and then they can all be united as one. Of course, Legoshi doesn't agree with this because, there are a bunch of other carnivores who just will never be sane. And June's character, like, I don't really think there's much to say about her character. Like, she's interesting, but I don't think, like, she's endearing as I would want her to be. But, like, I think she's more like a secondary character. At least she feels a lot more like that because she definitely doesn't think a lot. We don't really see what's going on in her mind. And, like, all we know is, like, she's in love with Haru, and I guess that's kind of all that's it, kind of. Not that I don't really think that, to me that doesn't affect the show, but I just don't really think that she's as much of an interesting character as Legoshi, Haru, and Louis. But yeah, Legoshi eventually makes a decision that he is in love with Haru and not June, and they go with Haru, and they have a moment. Haru says that the more Legoshi tells the truth, the more her feelings end up going out, and she doesn't want that. She's never had like these sort of feelings in a while. She's never really had these feelings expressed before, and eventually they share a moment at the end, and Haru eventually says that she'll wait for him to I guess like control the beast inside him or something like that. I think I don't exactly remember. This review is not good. And okay, now let's talk about a little bit about how the show really ended. It ended with Legoshi walking. He ends up seeing someone. Eventually, tells him to follow him, and we end up getting a panning shot of Legoshi. No, not a panning shot. More like a shot of Legoshi turning around, looking at whoever was there. And I don't exactly remember what he said. I think he said something along the lines of, "What are you doing?" or something like that. And eventually it cuts off, and the ending screen says, "See you second season." I thought that was a great way to end the show, and yeah, I cannot wait for season 2. This review is over. This review sucks. It sucked. It sucked. It sucked. It sucked. It sucked. I am terrible at giving reviews. But hey, at least you know my thoughts, and at least you know how I feel about the show, sort of. I think it's an amazing show. It's a 10 out of 10 show for me. And I can't wait for season 2, and I hope it's just as good, or better. I hope it's better. So yeah, that'll be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope I covered as much as I could from this show. Of course, like, this is definitely, full of spoilers and stuff. And yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy this review. Probably not. But if you did, leave a like down below. Subscribe and new to the channel. Let's see if we can get to 50 subscribers. And comment down below, what are your thoughts on Beastars? Do you think it's an amazing show? What do you think? And if so, who's your favorite character? And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.